Good evening, viewers, and welcome to the iRacing Stock Car Association's ButtKicker Racing Series. Tonight, we come to you from Atlanta. We're going to be running the Mountain Dew 250. We're having a slight bit of difficulty, so we're going to announce this right quick, and then we're going to shoot to a commercial and jump right back at you as the grid's going to start here in about 3 minutes. And welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway. These drivers, we got a bunch of new faces tonight, and I'm here with my good buddy Nolan Rempel. Nolan, how you doing tonight?
Doing quite well. Technical difficulties aside, it seems like we are raring to go, and so is the field of 41 cars setting off on the one and only pace lap.
Yeah, we have a boatload of new faces in here tonight. Nolan, looks like Boyd Hogan, defending champion from last year, is sitting on the pole. He ran himself a fast qualifying lap of 28.928.
It is a very tight field up there. In fact, really the top 8 separated by just 1/10 of a second. So some flying times today. They're rounding through 3 and 4. No doubt we're going to be seeing some equally tight competition. And we're going to see which one of these new faces, if any, can crowd Boyd Hogan to become the 2021 Season 1 champion.
And Nolan, we're having technical difficulty all the way around. Normally, the apps that we use to be able to tell which drivers are in which cars, we're not able to access. So bear with us as we get ready to start this 250. So here we go. We got a good green start.
Good brief flag launch already 3 wide, further in the midfield. Boyd Hogan's got himself a good launch. John Mullins is already dropping back, gets a bit of a bobble going through turn 1. He's watching all the way up to the wall. So John Mullins down 2 spots from where he started today. My goodness me. Not the best start at all for him, but it is a hornet's nest of cars down to the turn 3 for the first time of the night.
Yeah, Nolan, we're going to see these guys. They're either going to be pushing really bad coming off these corners or really squirrely coming off of them. For the first about 5 laps, everybody should be patient.
Indeed, everybody, we were hoping is going to be patient as well. It really is a 2-pack separation right now. You got first down to 16th, and then it is, 17th on back in their own little gaggle. So the 2 drivers that are kind of at the head of, or tail of the biggest field and start of the last field are Wayne Grassi and Kyle Labrie. So again, Wayne Grassi, one of the returning drivers. Labrie, I believe, one of the newer drivers coming into this season. No doubt we're going to be seeing what they can do tonight. Labrie's already started to close in on the top field.
Well, we got the Mullins in second and third. They're catching Boyd here. They're kind of patiently waiting it out, and Boyd's just kind of out there on a Sunday drive. But James Mullins in that 6 machine is right on his tail coming up, and right behind him, not even an inch behind him, is John Mullins in that 64 machine running in third.
Very clean start all the way throughout the field. Nobody's made contact. Yeah, Boyd Hogan's still running out in front. 4 laps led on the docket of 163 a lap race tonight. 3 cars under a blanket are James and John Mullins, and then Travis Manning in 4th place. Brian Johnson rounds out the top 5 here on the day. So really about single file all the way back to about the 8th position.
Yeah, for 8th, looks like we got A.J. Russell in the 121. It's fighting with Dan Shamoon in that 23 for the position, and that is for 8th position. And that's pretty much the only battle we're seeing quite yet. It does look like Shamoon almost got taken out. He had to lift a little bit as Tanner Love. Welcome back, Tanner Love in the 14 machine. Shamoon got taken. He got a little tap in the back by the 119 of Brooks Durton. Everybody's going on the high side here, and it looks like Shamoon is having a little bit of difficulty running that inside line.
Yeah, Shamoon got a bit of a slider going through turn 2 and then just got tagged ever so slightly in the back end by Brooks Durting immediately after. And now he is still struggling, still going down spots. He's just lost another one out to Steven Gauthier. And now Colton Harvey is going to pick up a spot as well. Looks like Justin Belmonte is looking for a move as well. And so Dan Shamoon really struggling here on the rough surface, and that is something to note about. Atlanta, of course, is famous for having one of the oldest surfaces in NASCAR. I believe hasn't been paved since the track was reprofiled back in the late 90s, so that's a good, 21-year track surface in modern days. Of course, with the scan, it's only about, I want to say about 11 or 12 years old, but still definitely some of the oldest track surfaces that you can see here on the service.
Yeah, this is a rough one. It's much rougher than the Monster Mile we got here. As you're watching these guys, I'm watching the battle between Wayne Grossi and the 30 of Chad. No, it's Justin Belmonte. They were battling side by side. The outside line here, Nolan, is not where you really want to be. It's really close to this wall. And since iRacing put out the update, that wall is not your friend right now. There's a heck of a draft coming off it, and it can either push your car down into an inside lane or pull you right into the wall.
Yeah, indeed it can, and of course with the new wall effects that iRacing put in, the new aerodynamic effects, no doubt that is going to have a big play as to how these cars react and get close to the wall as well. As we see Colton Harvey getting really close to the outside wall off of turn number 4 down the front straightaway. That's going to open up the door for Wayne Grossi in the 7th to go out the inside of Harvey, and that will be 13th place secure for the number 7 machine, unless Harvey can maybe have a say at this. He's going to have a look around the outside as Grossi goes defensive.
Yeah, I'm not going to see many passes on the outside tonight that are going to be successful as the laps turn on, Nolan. We're going to watch this and see if the 8 car is able to get around the 7. He's trying to go to the inside. He wants to try to bluff and get Wayne Grossi to go high so he can go low, but I don't think that's going to happen. Now, it looks like going back up to the front of this, we have Travis Manning, who's new to the Racing Series this year. He's in a 22 machine. He must have got himself around James Mullins, and he is in 2nd place. And he's about a second behind Boyd Hogan.
Overall, the Boyd Hogan has been steadily growing his lead throughout the course of this race. Manny was faster than him the last 2 laps, but Hogan has got himself a pretty big cushion there all the way back to that 22 machine of Travis Manning. So that 22 car's got a little bit of work to do in the Toyota Camry if he has got any hope of running down the Canadian and defending champion, Boyd Hogan.
Well, we don't want to put too much lack of faith in Travis Manning. He may be doing that James Mullins preserving the tire situation. They're really not. 7/10 of a second at this track is a matter of Boyd making a mistake. Now he just dropped it down to not even a half a second. And he is closing in rapidly on Boyd Hogan. So Boyd might be using up his tires up there to try to get some distance between 2nd place Travis Manning. And that may hurt him in the long run.
Further back in the field, Tanner Love is having a battle for the 9th position right now. Brooks Durting is the one that was trying to get on this inside to have a go at him. Steve Gauthier just made the pass on him. They got pretty darn close as well throughout the entirety of this battle as well. Love trying to have another go around the outside. Passes around the outside might work at tracks like Chicago. And whoa, Everett Lane just took a massive slide off of turn 4 as he was trying to go into pit lane.
Yeah, speaking of pit lane, Nolan, we're going to probably see some pit stops somewhere in around the 60 because they get 4 sets of tires here, and there is 163 laps they can run. So technically, they could, if you did the math, they can come in about lap 41, 42, 43 and get new tires and then, come back out. The benefit of new tires at this track roughly are going to be fresh tires, maybe about a second and a half faster than older tires, depending on how much they abuse their car on them older tires. The tires will not fall off really bad until about a lap probably 20, 25-ish. As we're already seeing 15 laps in, and Travis Manning is running 31 161s.
And of course, is compared to Boyd Hogan, who's running 31 114 on the last time by as well. So dead even last time by at the line for both Hogan and Manning. Now we've seen that Boyd Hogan is very, very good with the tire conservation. I mean, there's a reason why he's able to stay out in front for so long, and it's usually because he builds that gap right out of the gate and then kind of lets himself drop back because he knows he has the cushion, that he doesn't need to push it until the tires are absolutely destroyed. And I think that right now is exactly what Boyd Hogan is trying to do, although it's not quite working out because Travis Manning is staying right with him. They're about 0.7 of a second apart, 0.635 last time by at the line. And that time by, though, Hogan once again half a hundredth quicker than Manning.
Yeah, but let's not count out that number 6, James the Money Mullins. He's faster. His last time he ran was a 31.067. He just ran a 31.192 because he is right on the tail feathers of Travis Manning. Looks like Everett Lane must have took it to the shop. I mean, he called it a night. That was an early race for him. 17 laps in. He must have said he had some problems with that hot rod, and he called it a night.
Well, sometimes that happens. Something could be life that is called away as well. Of course, real life comes typically before the sieve, so you never know. Potentially had something go on in the real world. We hope everything's all right. Of course, you never know. Might have just decided to call it night as well. Maybe he just didn't like quite what he was seeing in his opening performance here tonight as well.
We got the 14 machine, Tanner Love. He's coming in, and he just took the 9th position away from Steve Gauthier. And Steve is on the outside in that 69 machine, just battling his way, just trying to hold that position. Steve might want to calm it down and just stay in the top 10, but he doesn't want to do that. He wants 9th for some reason, and that's probably going to cause him some problems as he gets really close to those walls coming out that turn.
He's trying to roll the high side and carry the momentum through the corners, what he's trying to do here. Not quite able to get it, though, as once again, Tanner Love pulls ahead in turns 1 and 2 on the bottom side. Nothing that Gauthier can do about it. He finally has to step back in line. So looks like that number 69 machine is down to 10th for now.
We have a battle first, second, and third. There is a 1 second gap between first and third, but going back, there's a almost a 3.5 second gap from third to fourth.
Indeed, there is. It's definitely a pretty stark contrast. I think that just shows how good Manning, Mullins, and Hogan are here at this racetrack, that they're able to pull such a big gap away from the rest of the field. Just about everybody is single file right now. At this point, the first battle back is actually for the 15th position. Wayne Grossi just giving it up to Chad Sullivan in the number 117. And now Grossi under fire by Justin Belmonte for what is now the 16th position.
May be seeing something crazy here, but I think that 30 of Justin Belmonte's got a little damage in the rear, like somebody might have given him a love tap here. As we're watching, it looks like the 38 is trying to Wendell Elliott. He's on the inside, and as long as he doesn't drift up, that inside pass will be successful.
Your eyes don't deceive you. He does have damage on the back end of the car and on the right front as well, actually, I'm noticing. So I wonder if maybe Belmonte pushed a bit too wide in one of these corners, maybe glanced the wall and then got hit up the rear. Very easy to do when you're in a tight pack like this, especially when it is still very early into the race.
Yeah, that wall is not your friend. Like I said earlier, there's a draft that will either push you away from that wall or pull you into that wall.
Steve Gauthier, big slide, and he actually went below the white line.
Yeah, that 69 machine is not right now comfortable. He's got a Mobile 1 paint scheme on that 69, it looks like.
Certainly does. The fuel apparently not quite helping right now, though, as he's just lost out 2 spots to Colton Harvey and to Dan Shamoon. So once again, the 69 machine now dumped outside of the top 10. Of course, with the rough track surface, that means, of course, very, very easy to get loose off of these corners. And the slide that he took was all on his own. Just got the back end, stepped out a little bit, and that was all it took. Cam Davidson has also called it a night of the 120. He has pulled it off the track. Not sure what happened to him.
Well, we're probably going to see a lot of these guys getting a little loose here. We're coming into where they've got 25 laps on these tires. which is not a huge amount at any other track, but here, like you mentioned earlier, the surface just annihilates these tires. I mean, they'll come in and they'll have roughly about 35% tire wear left if they take this out to about 45, 50 laps. Get back to the leaders here and see what Boyd is running as a lap time. Boyd is running a 31.5. Travis Manning in second is running a 31.5. And James Mullins is, so they're all pretty close to equal, 31.5s. But it does look like James Mullins has preserved his tires enough to get the inside of Travis Manning, and he takes second position away. Let's see if he can start closing in on Boyd Hogan. Maybe he got a little bit tired of sitting behind Travis Manning and hoping that Travis Manning was going to be pushing his way back up there towards Boyd Hogan. And James kind of got a little impatient there and said, I'm going to try to pull you. You get behind me. But there is a 1 second deficit that they've got to make up.
Indeed, there is. It's a pretty big deficit they have to make up as well, so we'll have to see exactly what is going to take place here in this little battle here for the lead, which is really spaced out quite a bit. Even second and third has spaced out by some margin. So at this point in time, Boyd Hogan is looking mighty comfortable up there, running kind of a run of his own race at the moment. It looks like fifth place of Jonathan Delaney in the 13 machine might be under fire here a little bit from AJ Russell, because they're still pretty close together.
Yeah, there's two new drivers this year to the series, Jonathan Delaney in the 13 machine and the 121 of AJ Russell. They're doing fairly well. Behind them is the Johnson brothers. We got Chris and Brian Johnson. Welcome back again. And Tanner Love just took a position away from Brian Johnson in that 4 machine, and looks like he is trying to get the position away from Brian's brother here, Chris, in that 48 machine. While Chris is going to the inside of AJ Russell. Oh, he's going to peek back a little bit and calm it down. Boy, who's sitting in the catbird seat?
Oh. Steve Gauthier, 69 machine, into the infield grass on the front straightaway.
Oh, that was a huge issue for him. Huge issue. He just, looks like Craig Johnson was able to just get away from him in that 83 machine. Eric Kling in that 17 machine is running in the back of the field again here with Greg Wachinski in the 2 machine. Yeah, they're kind of patiently sitting back here and just waiting to see what's going to happen. But if you wait too long, if you expect an accident here, you're expecting a little bit too much, because these guys know what they're doing. These are the best of the best, and we are probably going to watch a full green flag run race and some green flag pit stops here. I highly doubt we'll see any accidents here.
Jeremy Garrison in the number 12 car. He just came out of pit road. It looks like he might be headed back down as he's on the apron in 3 and 4. So it seems like a couple cars elected to take it down early and maybe having some slight difficulties on their own. So once again, not sure what Jeremy Garrison came down for. He was into the box. Can't tell you what he was doing there. Might have just been getting some fuel. So bit of an interesting situation here all around the field, as some cars still elected to come down to the pits very early.
Well, I mean, we don't have a lot of big movers and shakers. I mean, the biggest mover of the race right now is at 51 of Kyle Labrie. He started in 20th, and he's now moved his way up to 14th, and that's about as big as we get. That's a 6th. I'm watching behind Eric Kling in that 17 machine as he is battling with Greg Wachinski here. He was trying to battle him for 21st position, and those are teammates. But it looks like he's giving him a little courtesy, and it looks like Greg might lift up a little bit and let Eric Kling in a 17 machine take the low line. Yes, he does. He just kind of burps it a little bit and gives him enough room. I tell you, if this is anything like the series is going to be all year round, this is going to be absolutely great.
Craig Johnson is looking racing behind. He tried to have a look around the outside, and here comes Andrew Lewis with a big head of steam up the inside of Johnson on the entry to turn 1. Johnson trying to cut back on Lewis now through turn 2, but he can't get his nose on the inside. So valiant effort there from Johnson to try to get the crossover. Didn't quite work out for him, though. Wachinski, meanwhile, has lost touch to Eric Blink just up the road as well.
Much of a nice battle here with that, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. It looks like Dan Shamoon is going to work his way back up a little bit. He might have those tires cooled off enough to where he can go back after Colton Harvey in that 8 machine for 9th. But Colton is holding tight as he's battling with Brian Johnson in that 4 machine. If they keep battling like this, their tires are not going to last. And I guarantee you, that's why you're seeing the leaders, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, just absolutely pulling away. When I say that, James Mullins is only 8/10 behind the leader Boyd Hogan, but Travis Manning has dropped 2.5 seconds. So in the catbird seat, nice and cushioned, is James the Money Mullins in that 6th machine. He's just kind of riding there, buying his time. Maybe he's preserving some fuel and some tires to see if maybe he can outlast Boyd Hogan.
Sometimes all you got to do is try to maybe hope you can outlast the drivers. It really is unique how these two drivers have been going back and forth. I mean, some laps James Mullins is faster. Sometimes Boyd Hogan is faster. It really is a bit interesting to see, kind of what's the difference here. Boyd Hogan, meanwhile, race leader, has caught Cecil Keith in the number 33 machine. So we're about to see our first car actually being put a lap down out on the racing surface, and not as a result of a pit stop.
Yeah, Steve, I've been watching Cecil Keith. He's been battling that machine. He's just had, I don't know if his tire package or his setup is not where he needs to be, but Boyd Hogan has to make it a clean pass. And Cecil Keith can have, the gentleman's agreement and just let him by without battling him, which he's going to do. It's not something you absolutely have to do. He could battle to stay on the lead lap, but he chooses not to. And see, it looks like he gets a little squirrely behind him.
That might be why Cecil Keith decided to give him the room, is because maybe he's starting to struggle with tire wear as well. Of course, we are starting to, we're a little over halfway through the fuel window now. The fuel window we're talking in clean air is about 62 laps. So we're going to see here in a bit if these drivers are going to start conserving fuel a little bit. James Mullins, though, has really closed the gap, though, to Boyd Hogan. He was a 1/4 of a second faster the last time by, and now he's just 3/10 off of him.
James' car is on rails tonight. He just takes it easy. He's like a cat that ate the canary. He kind of just sits back there and waits and waits and waits and kind of intimidates you a little bit here. But you're not going to intimidate Boyd Hogan. He's not going to let that happen. He's going to run his line. He's not racing out of that rearview mirror, I guarantee you. He's got his face pointed towards the front of the windshield, and he's just, heading for a victory is all he's got in his mind.
Indeed. Trying to see if maybe he can close in a little bit more this time by a couple hundredths of a second quicker as well. My goodness, Mullins was really hounding them, isn't he? I mean, he is all over the back end now of Boyd Hogan. No doubt in my mind that he's going to find a way to get by him sooner rather than later. The gap is now under 3/10 of a second and closing by another 1/2 tenth on just that one straightaway.
Yeah, but if I know Boyd is not really concerned with we're only at, not even a 1/4 of the way through the race. If he loses the lead now, that's really not going to matter to him. He can always battle for it to get it back. He'd much rather preserve his tires right now in the long run, because Boyd, he has been a racer that has amazed me as far as fuel economy. And James Mullins just caught a little bit of that wall in that 6 machine. Like I was saying, Boyd can preserve not only his tires, but somehow he gets fuel. I mean, I almost want to say he's driving a doggone hybrid, He gets fuel mileage out of his cars that I have not been able to figure out myself.
Hey, you and me both. I don't really figure out how these guys drive so fast either. I mean, I can drive these cars as hard as I want, and I won't be able to do half of what these guys are able to do on the track. These guys are truly, showing that they are some of the best of the best when you, at least definitely within this league, as we continue to watch this gap slowly close in. Hogan getting so close In a wall of a turn 4. Really tempting fate there.
What you're going to see here is James Mullins in that 6 machine, as these lap cars are up here, if they battle at all, anything at all with Boyd Hogan, James Mullins is going to capitalize on that. James will use that high side. His car does appear like it can run the high or low. He doesn't need to pick or choose. So if these lap cars that Boyd is coming up to right now give any kind of challenge to Boyd, James Mullins will take the position away from Boyd.
Ain't that the truth? James
And
Mullins.
He's closing. He's closing in really close because
Yeah.
he's thinking the same thing. All they got to do is battle him a little bit.
He's right on him now. Gap is under 0.2 of a second. Count in the 10th and a half. Now down to 1/10. James Mullins all over that rearview mirror.
Yeah, so they're going to force Boyd. I don't think these drivers in front of Boyd are going to go up and give him a spot. I think they're going to want to race and stay on the lead lap. In the event there is a caution, they can get it. So Boyd's going to have to take the high line. No, it looks like we got one of them being courteous. He's going to pull up and he's going to let him by. But if Boyd, he just slides.
Ooh.
That was really close there. He almost caught the rear or the front end of that 44. See if the next driver does. He's got to watch his exit. His car pushes up. And he's going to pass by. Looks like Paul Olson in the 43 machine. Puts Paul Olson a lap down.
James Mullins lost a little bit of time lapping Brandon Drumhiller when he had to let off a little bit. He couldn't go right to the wall on the exit of 2 like he probably wanted. But he didn't lose too much time. He only lost about a 10th or so the gap is still under 1/4 of a second. Mullins is going to get him. There's no doubt about that. There's no way that Mullins is going to get him. It's just a question of how long is it going to be before Boyd Hogan loses the lead.
Well, we don't really have to worry about Travis Manning. He's almost 4 seconds behind James Mullins here. So there's a battle. The only closest battle is Jonathan Delaney and Tanner Love. Those two were battling pretty good. Tanner's moved himself up into the 5th position when he started 9th. I don't really see any races that make me say, oh, these guys are battling really well. I mean, we've got half a second between here and there. It's pretty good cushion. It's just going to take a matter of somebody making a mistake and somebody else to capitalize in order to get a position as we run into lap 48.
Lap 48. Just about as
the lead. The lead's about to change here in about a second. Mullins has dropped that lead that Boyd Hogan had down to 1/10 of a second. He is right on his bumper.
All over him indeed. Just 1/10 separating the 2 race leaders and 2 of the guys that you'll often see battling very, very hard for the race lead as well. So Boyd Hogan, can he hang on? Can Mullins get the pass done? That is really going to be the big question.
Right here.
Hogan
Right here.
is going to move up high, let it through.
Yeah, he had no choice. He left that bottom open, and James Mullins had took advantage of that. So there goes Boyd Hogan in that Reaper machine. He moves back into 2nd place. Now, when that happens, we're probably going to see Boyd Hogan start to fall back a little bit. I want to almost say that Boyd has used up his material trying to stay in front of James Mullins. Well, James is all he's done is he allowed Boyd to pull him along. So he was saving fuel and he was saving his tires. So now Boyd just has to return the favor and say, okay, James, I pulled you along for 20 laps. Now it's your turn to pull me along for at least 15, 20 more laps.
Yeah, I think it's going to be difficult for Hogan to be able to properly make it up again, though, because the gap is already 3/4 of a second in just the span of like 1 lap. So very, very big drop for Hogan. I think you hit it right on the head. He has used up all his stuff. I think Hogan had that car set up for more of a short run speed, hoping for a couple of yellows. Now, the reason why he might have done this is because we heard that the cars were unusually loose here at Atlanta. So he might have been hoping there would have been maybe a couple self-spins to bring out some yellow flags that may have allowed him to keep the lead. Just didn't quite pan out that way, it would seem.
Well, yeah, we've got a track temp of 122 degrees. This is the hottest these guys have probably raced on all week long. The air temp is at 80 and the track is at 122. That is extremely hot. And that's going to eat up these tires even more.
Oh, yeah.
Tables have turned. James "The Money" Mullins in the 6 machine has taken the lead, and he's put a second gap between him and second place Boyd Hogan. And Boyd, if he preserves his tires and just kind of sits there patiently and just runs his line and waits, he's got to pit with Mullins. He has to. If he doesn't pit with him, the tables will flop all over the place. So he's just got to patiently use his equipment properly, because he doesn't have really much to worry about with the 3rd place Travis Manning, 4th place John Mullins, 5th place Tanner Love, because they're roughly about 8 seconds, 4 to 8 seconds behind him. So he can sit there in 2nd place and cruise. He just has to be patient getting around these lap cars, because when you're the leader, these lap cars want to give you a little courtesy. When you're 2nd place, not so much.
Looking through the field, there isn't a whole lot of other action going on. As I say that, Paul Olson is on the apron in turn 3 and 4 in that number 43 machine. It looks like he might be taken down to pit lane. Indeed, he is. So the 43 car down to pit road on lap 54. This could be an early stop for him.
Let's take an in-ride camera with Mullins, as he has got a gaggle of cars wrecking in front of him, and he's going to have to check up, and he just splits them. Yeah, that was almost a disaster. Let's go in car as Mullins catches some of these other lap cars.
What happened there as we ride in car was that it looked like AJ Russell was trying to check up to go to pit road, and Steve Gauthier just didn't expect that and ran right into the back of him. So that's what all of that was all about. Now Mullins is catching Justin Belmonte and Will Barlow, and ahead of them there is a whole lot of cars. Belmonte now pulls off pit road as well. There's a lot of cars that are fighting hard just up the road from him.
Yeah, if you're in car with me, Nolan, you can watch. Right now, you can see he's got very little steering input into that car, okay? But he's got a whole lot more steering input into that car than he'll have if we watch him again when he's got fresh tires. You can watch that tape on his steering wheel. He pulls in there, and it barely looks like he's even turning into the corner. Everybody's hitting pit road. I mean, pit road is a busy intersection at this point. Right now, James has got himself in a position where he's got to worry, because these guys in front of him are on older tires, even though they may not intentionally wreck somebody in front of them. Them older tires, to get out of Mullins' way, they could end up wrecking. And if they wreck, just like a second ago, 2 laps ago, it could cost Mullins his win. They're all going to try to hit pit road as they go in. No, they're all going to stay out. I just want to see how, so everybody can see what, if it's not an easy task to pass here, especially when you have to trust the drivers above you or below you, whatever lane they pick, that they're going to stick to their lane and not hit the wall if they go high, or not catch an apron if they go low and lose control. It's very dangerous to pass here. But we're going to watch Mullins in the 6 machine do it right here in a second. He goes to the inside. As long as these drivers are courteous to him and that 83 machine stays up towards the wall, doesn't get too nervous and hits the wall, he should be fine.
Say pit road's a busy place, and that is definitely not an understatement. Travis Manning, 2nd place driver, is down to pit road. Dan Shamoon in the 8th position is also down pit road. A lot of the lead lap cars from the top 10 are down as well. You got 4 cars from the top 10, 2 of them within the top 5 that are down to the lane right now. Some cars are also coming out of pit road, getting caught up in all of this. Eric Kling is among the drivers that's just leaving the pit.
James Mullins is pitting out. He's pitting out. He come on pit road excessive. I would be very shocked if he doesn't get a speeding penalty out of that one. Mullins has pitted. And I do believe, did we already see Boyd Hogan pit?
No, we did not.
Where is, Boyd Hogan, it looks like, Mr. Mullins, his pit stop was not the best. I think he was looking for valet parking there.
He appears to have gotten himself a little kind of caught up and had to back up into the pit stall. That's what happens on the very old service here. And check me on that one. Boyd Hogan did actually pit 2 laps ago, and he is rocketing him back into the order. He's just moved up into the 10th position and has passed James Mullins because of that pit blunder.
And James, when he circles back around, he may be a lap down.
I don't think so. I mean, he's already out of the pits as it is for Mullins, but he has lost so much time. In fact, he's lost 6 seconds to Boyd Hogan as a result of that mistake.
Yeah, that missing his pit stop did not help him at all. Now, who it did help is that 96 machine of Boyd Hogan. Now, we got Tanner Love as our new leader in that 14 machine. He has not pitted yet.
No one in the top 5 has.
Yeah. He's got cars coming around him at a rate extremely fast. So he's on 60 lap tires right now. He'll be hitting pit road here probably this next 2 laps at least. And right now, as I say that, Tanner Love comes to pit road. The 14 machine of Tanner Love, pit road. And he gets a little squirrely. We got the 8 machine of Colton Harvey, second place. He comes to pit road. Wayne Grossi, he's going to stay out. He wants to lead a couple laps. And while he's doing that, you know who's sneaking up right behind him is that 96 machine of Boyd Hogan on fresh tires. So the deficit that James Mullins has to make up now is roughly about 5 seconds. You thought that 2.5 seconds was rough, or 0.2 of a second was rough. For James to make up that much time is going to be extremely difficult.
Boyd Hogan has now taken the race lead officially, as Wayne Grossi has lost it officially. He's down to 3rd place now, has lost both first and second place. Wayne Grossi is yet to pit. He is at the very, very tail end of the fuel window. He's been out there for 63 laps already. Fuel window is typically 62. So he's got to come down to the next lap or 2 here, or he's going to run out of fuel on the track.
Nolan, as we ran through pit stops, let's take a moment to just take a station commercial break. We want to thank ButtKicker for sponsoring our race series this evening and a wonderful event here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Let's pause for a commercial right quick.
Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway. Caution number 1 on the speedway. It happened between Steve Gauthier and Randy Drumhiller. Drumhiller pushed a bit wide off of turn 2. Nothing Steve Gauthier could do. They both went hard to the outside wall. Both cars are pretty much junked. So just after our pit stop cycle, this might save Wayne Grossi, who's now up to 6th position because he never pitted under the green flag, surprisingly. So what an absolute turn of events here. The pace car is, of course, out on the track. I believe Joshua Schofner will be getting the lucky dog free pass. We'll have to wait and see how this is, of course, all going to play out. So first caution on lap number 66 and 97 laps remaining now. Wayne Grossi is down to the lane, unsurprisingly. He is not going to lose a lap, though, as he most likely would have had he pitted under green. So that caution definitely just helped out Wayne Grossi a metric ton.
You know who didn't want to see that caution was your 96 machine of Boyd Hogan.
Yeah. Understatement there, Hal. Complete understatement. He had a 7-second gap. That was exactly what he wanted to see. That's helped James Mullins as well, because after that pit stop blunder, that 6-second lead, well, it's just about a 10th, if that. Lucky dog free pass is getting waved around now. I believe it was Joshua Schofner that was waved around the pace car. Wayne Grossi is out of the lane right now as well. Wow, that caution has come out at a pretty inopportune moment for a lot of drivers, because that's trapped a lot of the field a lap down now. 19th on back, or check that 20th on back, is 1 lap down now in the field.
Yeah, a lot of drivers didn't want to see that, but some of them did want to see that, because that kind of helped them a little bit, especially, I cannot say it enough, James the Money Mullins in that 6 machine, where he needed that so bad if he was going to stand a chance to get up to Boyd Hogan.
My goodness, that really does change everything, doesn't it? I mean, the 92 machine of Clayton Hoffman, he's the first car lap down. He's technically second in the pacing line right now, but he is going to have to cycle on back because he is not ahead of Boyd Hogan. A couple cars have come down to the pit lane as well, just this time by. Jeffrey Souza among them. AJ Russell is in it as well. Both drivers there are 1 lap down in the field as well. Got a couple more coming down, it looks like. I see Jeremy Garrison is coming down to the lane. Paul Olson's coming down to the lane. Randy Drumhiller is on the track with no rear clip. He's now coming down to pit road as well. The 69 machine of Steve Gauthier is also in. He doesn't have a front end at all. Looks like he's just about parked it for the night.
But just when you thought it was going to be green all the way, I never in a million years would have seen that. I mean, but those fresh tires, they can end up being a hinder.
So now you got a lot of drivers that are going to be out here. 9, 10 lap old tires, some drivers up to 13, but you got to keep in mind as well that that is because a lot of these laps that they've had on these new tires are under caution, and they have a set amount of limit. I believe it's 4 tires that they can take throughout the course of the race. So they're on set number 2. They have to make they would have to make just 1 more set of tires stretch out the entire way to the end of the race. Not at all what they want. Lights are on the pace car. We're going green this time by.
We got the 6 machine of James Mullins on the outside of the leader, Boyd Hogan. And let's see how this battle is. So we got Travis Manning joined the field again. Welcome back, Travis, in the 22 machine. We have a newcomer, Jonathan Delaney, in the 13 is starting behind Boyd Hogan. Or I think he's starting on the outside with James Mullins. Let's see how that outside handles compared to the inside on this restart.
Just gonna have to wait and see now, won't we? Couple cars running the apron there through 1 and 2. These are the drivers that have to fade all the way back to the tail end of the field because they're a lap down, and they have to start from the back of the grid. They are not allowed to start up with the leaders, so the leaders are shuffling their way through, but they got to get back there in a hurry because the leaders are through 3 and 4. Anybody that is not behind where they need to be is going to get black flag. So they got to get a move on and get where they need to be.
Well, let's pull them seatbelts tight. We're getting ready to go green again. Let's see how this goes. And some people in the back. There goes Boyd Hogan, gets a heck of a good jump on James Mullins. James jumps right into second place. It looks like the 11. He's going to take it 3 wide. He's got the, it's like the 48, the 64. Not going to end well. Oh, they backed it all down.
Yeah, 3 wide from them right out of the gate. I got a bit nervous there as well. Al looked like they were all about to come together there. Boyd Hogan with a great launch off of the line. Christopher Hill in the number 11 machine. He's poking around Chris Johnson now. He is going to pick up the 6th position on the racetrack, leaving Chris Johnson out to dry on the outside. Up front, James Mullins trying the outside down the front straightaway. And look at that. He's going to make that pass work around Boyd Hogan.
But he ain't passed him yet, Nolan. Now he was clear. He made that outside. I told you, James the Money Mullins in that 6 machine. He can run high and he can run low. What shocks me is that he came out so aggressively that quick. That's not like James. He usually preserves his tires and eats them up as he gets. But maybe he thinks that when the pit stop that Boyd Hogan made, he might have made some adjustments that did not work well, and he noticed it.
track is not an outside line type of track like Chicagoland is, like Kansas is. It is an inside all the way around type of track. So the fact that Mullins made that pass around the outside work is just absolutely phenomenal. I have never seen that done here in my life.
Well, Nolan, if you want to see stuff you've never seen before, you've got to watch these drivers in this series. These are, in my opinion, some of the best of the best. I mean, we've got pros that we can watch and all that stuff, and it becomes kind of boring if you watch them. There's not really too much excitement and battling going on. These guys will battle to the very end for 25th. You know, they don't never give up.
Jonathan Delaney is under fire from John Mullins. Just about got dumped off a turn 4 last time by. This is the battle for 6th and 7th place between the 13 and the 64 on the racetrack. Mullins once again around the inside. Delaney trying to fight back around the top side of the racetrack. Wendell Elliott just behind these guys is fighting out with Chris Johnson as well. Johnson continuing to drop down through the order. 4 cars all under a blanket. John Mullins moves out to Delaney around the inside. Seems like that middle line is really starting to come into play here.
I just watched the 14 of Tanner Love, made it look like Christopher Hill was in reverse. He came around the inside of him like he was shot out of a cannon.
That's what happens. I mean, if you get a bad run in one of these places, it is going to look like you're shot out of a cannon. Look at Colton Harvey looking like he's shot out of a cannon. He's going to go around Chris Johns, gives a bit of a bump draft to John Mullins in the 64 machine down the back straightaway. That hit machine is absolutely flying right now. He is trying to pick up another spot around Chris Johnson, and he is showing no mercy. He gave a bit of a shock to John Mullins in the 64. And now seeing if he can pull around the outside. Look at the speed that the 8 car has. Just going to breeze by the 64 like he's standing still.
No, and I believe what you're seeing right there, if we look back, I bet you Colton Harvey in that 8 machine went and got fresh tires.
Well, I hate to prove you wrong, but no, he did not. The average tires are about 19 laps. His are only 15. So he definitely did not come down under the caution to get the fresh tires. The first driver to do that is all the way back down to 25th and a lap down.
Well, maybe Mr. Colton Harvey has found the gas pedal and he's trying to get his way back through the front as he is moving. He comes around the inside, that 13 machine.
Holy cow! Now where did this come from?
He is coming through. Now, keep in mind, as you watch this happen, Colton Harvey in that 8 machine, keep that in your mind, because what's going to happen is right now he is using up his tires. Listen, as fast as he comes up through the field, it's going to be as fast as he's going to drop to the back of the field.
You got a very good point there. He has to really watch those tires. I don't think he's really watching them at all right now, though, as he is reeling in. He's reeling in Christopher Hill and Boyd Hogan really, really quickly. Hogan, of course, is down to 4th place now. Christopher Hill is being threatened for the top 5 as Harvey gets in line in the 6th position. So this is going to be mighty interesting here to see how this might affect the lead if Colton ends up holding up these guys once these tires fall away.
Speaking of the lead, it looks like Travis Manning had maybe found something. He found something on the last pit stop because he is staying right with James Mullins. And it looks like the 8 car is going in the inside of Christopher Hill, trying to take that position from him, and he does make it successfully. So he moves into the top 5.
Colton Harvey is just absolutely on a tear right now. This is probably the most impressive drive on a restart we have seen in a very, very long time. Still is, despite how many spots moved up, though, he still isn't the hard charger of the race. He's only up 5 for actually started today. The driver that is the hard charger right now is Christopher Hill, who's running just behind him in 6th. He is up 21 spots from where he started at the top of today's race about 82 laps ago. Seems like now the field has calmed it down just a little bit. James Mullins still leads. Travis Manning is running 2nd. Tanner Love 3rd. Hogan 4th. Harvey 5th to round out the top 5. 6th through 10th are looking Christopher Hill, Wendell Elliott, Jonathan Delaney, John Mullins, and Dan Shamoon. All of them under a blanket as well.
Looks like 11 on back is going to be Chris Johnson of the 48 machine, the 51 of Kyle Labrie, the 24 of Kenny Powell, the 4 of Brian Johnson, the 5 of David Gervais, and 15th. 16th is the 119 of Brooke Burton, the 7 of Wayne Grossi. He's 17th, was where he started at. Eric Kling in the 17 machine, he started 18th, and he's sitting right in 18th. Joshua Soffner he's in the 50 machine. He started 21st. He's moved himself up to 19th. And he is the last car on the lead lap.
That he is. John Mullins in the 64, having to go with Dan Shamoon around the outside. This is for the 9th position on the racetrack. Shamoon took it from him this lap. John Mullins is trying to fight back around the outside. Mullins pokes his nose ahead of the line and holds on to 9th place for now. But Dan Shamoon still has his nose in there, and he is still trying to go and get that position. Chris Johnson just behind these guys is over them. Maybe they both mess up so he can get a twofer. Oh, behind them! Kyle Labrie way to the inside as he takes a big slider. He's going to lose a lot of time as well and lose a spot to Kenny Powell. We're past halfway now in this race. 77 laps to go. Round in lap number 86 of 163 right now. So still quite a ways to go, but these guys are due battling like you got only 20 to go. Shamoon really pinching in John Mullins. How they did not wreck there, I have no idea, but Mullins is really trying to hang on to this spot however he can. Shamoon dive bombs into turn number 3. Mullins is doing a fantastic job to run that high line and continue to fend him off. Chris Johnson is right on the tail end of Shamoon as well. And it looks like finally Shamoon has used up his stuff. John Mullins finally pulls away and secures the spot off of turn number 2 down the back straightaway. Chris Johnson, meanwhile, now looking for the inside of Shamoon. Shamoon can't get there, but look at that 23 machine. Got a lot of speed going on the entry, but loses it all on the exit. And that is where Chris Johnson starts to run the 23 car down. He's now looking around to poke himself into the top 10. Kenny Powell just behind these guys. He's also looking for a top 10 finish at the moment. You really have about 11th all the way back to the 20th position, all under one massive train right now. It is such a fierce battle up here as well for these positions. David Gervais is in the mix of this as well. He's in the 14th position trying to run down Kyle Labrie, the driver that took a massive slider. It's all sorts of bunched up at the back. All the back from Kyle Labrie to David Gervais to Sullivan to Johnson. Back to Stephen James, all under a blanket as well. Gervais, meanwhile, is the driver that's on the offensive, trying to find a way around Kyle Labrie into the 51.
Yeah, that's where the most excitement is definitely going on back there, Nolan. It looks like David Gervais is going to capitalize. He's coming to the inside of that 51 machine of Kyle Labrie. Don't know if he's going to clear him. Sitting behind him are two other drivers that are trying to figure out what are they going to do. That Brian Johnson in the 4 machine.
Yeah, Stephen James to the 26, and then, of course, Chad Sullivan to the 117. He's side by side with 51 right now, and Sullivan dives it off into turn 3. Gonna get it done. My goodness, what a checkup.
Yeah, Brian Johnson almost took out the 51 of Kyle Labrie, and the 26 did a tremendous job, Stephen James, in making sure he didn't run completely all over Brian Johnson at 4 machine.
Again, going to show why these guys are so good at what they do. These guys really know how to battle hard without ever making contact. And that is the beautiful thing about it. Unfortunately, that massive checkup has created a really big divide in that big field that we saw going on there. It's really down about 3 cars, 14th on back to the, to Stephen James, who is actually in the 20th position, and he is actually a lap down. Now that I noticed that, Stephen James isn't even battling for position in this grouping. Battle for ninth is on. John Mullins in the 64. Once again, trying to have a go at Chris Johnson in the 48. Side by side through 3 and 4 again. Kenny Powell is just behind him. He's still looking. Oh, caution flag comes out. Caution number 2 on the speedway. And that is for a mess out of turn number 4, it appears. Check that in the middle of 3 and 4. Brian Johnson got run over by Stephen James, was a lap down. And Brian Johnson had the best save I have ever seen in a NASCAR Cup car.
That was like breathtaking. I mean, that was the Code Brown moment of the race, most definitely. And good job, Brian Johnson.
Flip that one and send that into iRacing for their member highlights of December. My goodness me, that is not easy to do at all in these machines. And the fact that nobody else ran him over, I think, is what's really impressive about that as well.
Nolan, now that we've got this caution underway, let's go ahead and break for another commercial real quick. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway. Pit stops underway here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and it appears as though Tanner Love has won the race off of pit road over James Mullins, who leads the field of well, it looks like about 20 strong off of the pit road. So James Mullins has potentially lost the race lead here in the pit cycle. Everybody else that stayed on the track still has yet to pit. Because they are a lap down. They don't get to pit until 1 lap later in the run. I believe Kyle Labrie is the driver that got the lucky dog free pass, so good on him. But yeah, James Mullins has lost the race lead to Tanner Love in the pit cycle. We'll have to see if he's going to be just as aggressive on the restart here as he was under yellow. And it looks like just about every single car that was lapped down is going to be staying out as well, because they are all hoping to get the wave around free pass here to get themselves back on the lead lap. And it looks like that is going to be the case all the way back to the 27th position. 28th on back, it looks like, have all come down to pit.
Well, Nolan, I watched that replay on that 4-car of Brian Johnson, and I'm in awe. That was some fantastic wheel management work there.
Oh yeah, the full 90 degrees sideways of the racing surface. That is not something that saves easily. You have to have like cat-like reflexes in order to be able to successfully recover something like that.
Well, what does this do to us, Nolan? What does this do to us? We have Tanner Love, who's on a little bit of new territory right now. This is the furthest he's been up. He's the leader now. On the outside of him is going to be James Mullins. Now, it's Tanner Love, Boyd Hogan. Boyd Hogan is pitting.
Well, I'll be. He just came down, too. He actually came down in just 2 laps ago under the caution flag to pit. So is Travis Manning coming down. Christopher Hill is also coming down. So is Wayne Grossi and Dan Shamoon. I don't know what kind of a strategy call that one is. Maybe trying to see if they could stretch it out to only make it out to the end of the race. We only got 68 laps to go. The fuel bin is about 62, so if they do some mad clutch and coasting through the final laps, there is the potential that they might be able to make it. It would be a very slim chance, but it's a chance nonetheless.
Yeah, that's the strategy you're looking at right there. It's we're going to try to make it to the end strategy. I thought maybe they put on too much tape, or they had to take some tape off or make an adjustment, but I think that was just a splash and go gas.
And don't forget as well that we did have a guy that made it 66 laps on fuel before that first caution flag came out. We're 66 laps to go now, so it is a very, very real possibility. Half the field is nowhere near being filed up yet, but the pace car comes down to pit road, and we're back green.
Boy, what a cluster of a start there. Tanner Love got a nice leap in front of James Mullins. Looks like the 13 machine of Jonathan Delaney is going to go to the inside of the 38 of Wendell Elliott. And here is that 8 machine again of Colton Harvey. He is now in third.
He's being pressured here for the fourth position, or for that third position actually, by Jonathan Delaney, who's trying to see if he can have it to go at him. Delaney's got to be careful though, because he has got Wendell Elliott to his outside as well in that 38 machine. So the top third, fourth, fifth, and sixth are all over. Oh, caution flag already. Didn't make it very far. Car stopped on the front straightaway. It's Chris Johnson in the 48 machine. Looks like his night might be just about over. What happened to Chris was he started to get all sorts of sideways in the middle of turn 3, got tagged by Kenny Powell on the rear. That unsettled him even further and eventually sent him around. David Gervais finished him off. Gervais did a bit of monster truck running as well through the infield as he jumped over some of the access roads, including one of the turns for the Legends course on the front straightaway there.
Yeah, you're going to see some pit stops now, because that little trick that Boyd Hogan did with who was that he went in? Travis Manning. That little stop and go, a splash of gas there. These drivers seen that, and they're going to go in and do the same thing.
Race car was in turn 3, so only time will tell to see what we're going to be able to do here. This is going to be quite entertaining here to see how the pit strategy is going to work out. It really is a mind game at this point, isn't it? I mean, this is one of those cases where if one person comes down, you can bet everybody else is going to follow.
Yeah, this is definitely a game of Simon Says. It's just who the heck would be Simon? There's some bluffing going on up there.
That was Tanner Love, the first driver to bluff. James Mullins did not fall for it. You know why they're not falling for it? They can save fuel under this caution flag, and that's more fuel they can get in the long run, negating which pretty much negates what a pit stop would have given them, because they were only green for about 2 laps. Looks like Jaden Profit has been given the lucky dog free pass. He's going to get a lap back and get himself back onto the lead lap as we are coming to 62 to go this time by. Jonathan Delaney is really far in the apron. That is definitely a fuel saving tactic what Jonathan is doing down there right now.
That definitely is right there. That 13 Flying Arrows machine is definitely on the apron trying to save, and look at the 8. It's going to follow him down there.
It's because they're trying to take the shortest possible line they can around the track because they know there's no time lost under caution. So it's just faster to take the track around the inside because it uses less fuel because they don't have to keep the throttle up, staying going on the apron, which is technically a constant uphill climb for these cars by running on the banking. Mind games. It's all in the head at this point on. I'll tell you what, it has been so dang long since I've seen an entertaining race at Atlanta. I mean, the real life races are usually, let's be honest, they have been less than stellar the past several years. So to see a race like this become so exciting like this is it's a very fresh state. Several cars are coming down to pit road. I believe all of them are just about a lap down except for Brian Johnson and Boyd Hogan. Hogan's coming back down to pit lane. What's that all about?
I cannot tell you what Boyd Hogan is thinking right now. He's already came down and got tires. He should have been able to make it to the end. especially because of the caution. But we have some, I don't know. I guess only time will tell. No, he's got a plan. There is a plan in Boyd's head. I mean, he's not doing this just to, make his pit crew have something to do. He's got a plan here, so we'll probably see it before the end of the race.
It's kind of amusing to see the field just kind of fanning out 3-4 wide in some places under caution here. I can see one skaggle back there where there's 2 cars that were just side by side on the apron with a third just above it on the back straightaway. It does look like organized chaos.
We have some new faces up in the top 10. Nolan, look at that. Kenny Powell in the 24 machine right now is the biggest mover. Started 23rd, come out 7th. Brooks Dirtning in the 119 started 11th. He's in 8th. And Eric Kling started 18th, and he is in 9th. We've got some new faces up front here. Let's see how they handle this.
Tanner Love, no doubt, is loving the lead as well. That was a terrible pun. I had to say it, though. It's my job.
You did it well. You pulled it off tremendously, Nolan. Great job. Great job.
I'll be here all night.
I'm looking at a little bit of a connection issue going on up in the front of this field here. I see the outside line. There's 1 or 2 cars maybe flashing. That outside line is not tight enough together to get a good run.
Hey, bright side on this restart, though, you don't have half the field that's still half a track away trying to catch up under this one, except for cars that are just now coming out of the pits. So this restart should theoretically be a little less chaotic.
Well, Nolan, you know what they say. Cautions breed.
Cautions. All together right now, everybody.
Exactly. Yeah. Cautions breed cautions. So let's watch for this, as we're probably going to see a couple more.
This is number 3 now in the night, I believe. Pace car
go green.
off.
Let's see. Tanner's got a nice. James, let him go again. He's going to drop to the low line, and he's going to try to pass him, but it looks like they're getting really squirrely.
John Mullins just barely letting Jonathan Delaney in for the 5th position, just behind these guys who checked out the 4th position, excuse me, on that one. So all the way back to 5th place are now single filed out, and then you have John Mullins and Brooks Dirting there side by side. Dirting in the 119. He is trying to move himself up into the top 5 now. This is just going to be absolute calamity up here. They are so tight together. And this is some of the tightly packed cars are these guys that are running up here in the front as well.
Yeah, we watched the pass right there of Travis Manning in the 22 machine as he's working his way through the field. On the outside, he is pulling the James Mullins line on the outside here.
And now Mullins is going to go to the inside of Tanner Love. The 6th car put him back to the point. James Mullins to the lead once again.
Wendell Elliott has got the 24 machine of Kenny Powell right on his bumper and is breathing down his neck. He wants that position as he's going to sneak it into the inside. And let's see if he can pull it off. If he can, yes, he's got him held up to the high side. As he gets loose, he gives it back. Behind him is the Dan Shamoon in that 23 machine.
And heads up for Wayne Grossi, who just came out of the pits, and he is going to really check up the front pack a little bit in the 7 car. The top 5 get through with no issue, but here comes 6th place runner Brooks Dirting, who's going to have to go around the outside as well. Wayne Grossi, no doubt, is going to be forcing 7th on back as well, but oh boy, this might get interesting here as our friend Kenny Powell is trying to have to go around the inside. He might have to go 3 wide of the car on the apron in the 26 machine, and he's going to finally get through as well, but goodness gracious, this is some exciting stuff up here.
Yeah, I think a lot of these drivers are checking up because the top 6 cars, 7, 8 cars, they're pretty much within a 1/10 of a second from each other. Some of them are side-by-side racing, and this cannot end well. But we do have, like I said, many times, we've got some really talented drivers here, so we should be able to pull this off unless somebody gets a little bit loose. It looks like Travis Manning was that somebody, but he gathered it back up as he tried to go to the inside, and he does make a clean pass on the inside.
James Mullins still trying to do battle with Tanner Love. He's really struggling to hang on to the lead up here. You got the top 3 less than a 1/4 of a second apart. So this is some seriously intense stuff. 55 laps remaining now as they took the line the last time by. Mullins is really holding up Tanner Love here. And now Mullins goes defensive. Love to the outside. John Mullins might try to see if he can follow.
We've got from first to seventh, there's 1 second between first and seventh. That is extremely tight racing.
Here comes Tanner Love in that 14 machine. Gonna pull the outside. Well, he's suspicious scored as the 14. He's got 51 in this car. Not sure what that's all about. But Mullins is trying to pinch him into the outside wall now off of 2. Tanner Love is still doing a fantastic job to hold on to it. This is really a battle of wills here. Who's going to give way first? John Mullins is looking as well for a position here in the in that number 64 machine. And it looks like finally James Mullins holds on to the lead. But Tanner Love, he ain't going down.
Yeah, if this keeps going, you're going to see Tanner Love, as he does get a little squirrely. You watch that rear end step out of him in a little bit. He's going to clip this wall. He better calm it down and second and pick his passing properly here. Otherwise, he's going to be back there in 20 seconds.
Don't forget, these guys have got to save fuel as well. They've got 52 laps remaining, yes, but that caution is only going to do so much for them. They might be just about breaking even right now with the fuel mileage, the way this is looking here. So I think they can make it to the end, but you just never know.
That 14 machine would just learn what Mullins has been teaching earlier on in this race and just let him pull him around the track. Let James use up his material and then pass him. It would be just fine instead of being so aggressive and trying to pass for the lead. It's not going to work.
We can already see starting to fade back here as he's no longer right on the back end of James Mullins. In fact, right now, John Mullins is just ever so slightly closer to Love than Love is to James Mullins. Colton Harvey is still looking racy back there in the A car as well in fourth. Single filed out just throughout the entirety of the top half of the field, at least. The top 5 are certainly stabilized for now. Boyd Hogan has advanced back up to 13th after his earlier strife with his little pit stop cycle as well.
What's really interesting here, Nolan, is when we watch these races, there's an underlining thing that we're not paying attention to. These drivers, they're about 30% driver skill here and about 70% setup. And we've got 2 drivers out here right now, which is James Mullins and Boyd Hogan. They both have their own setup shops where if a driver doesn't have a really good setup, they can go buy a setup from James Mullins at paytowin.com. Or they can go to Boyd Hogan's Reaper, I think it's reapermotorsports.com, Reaper setup shop. Boyd Hogan's got that where you can go buy setups, and they're anywhere between $8 to $12 for a setup, and you run identically to what they're running in this race. So you can buy the setup that they're running in this race. Now, as we look at this, we're not going to say, oh, well, James Mullins' setup is so much better than Boyd Hogan, because we watched at the beginning of the race what happened with Boyd. Boyd was leaving him. So we have drivers out here that have tremendous setups, but as you're watching this, we can't take away the fact that all these other drivers are just as talented as the guy in the lead to the guy in the 22nd position, even further back in the field. The car setups are what's making the other drivers way back in the field look like they don't have any talent. It's not the driver, it's the setup under the driver.
And this is certainly a bit interesting one, isn't it? There are a lot of drivers here that have the setup shops, and the key thing with these setup shops as well for Mullins and Hogan, you got to keep in mind as well, is the fact that the setups, and this is common practice among a lot of setup shops, they don't give you the exact setups that they're running. They want to keep those setups for themselves, because otherwise, well, that's like a magician telling somebody, this is how I do my trick. They're always going to alter it a little bit, so it's deliberately just a tad bit worse. A lot of setup shops do this. The VRS does this PDS does this. I believe Craig Setup Shop, you know, people like that, they do all this stuff. It is very common practice to do that, which is why you see guys like Boyd Hogan and James Mullins consistently at the front. I mean, Mullins has still been leading since the restart as well. And, well, that's simply because these guys, they know exactly what they're doing and how to play the system, and that's what they're doing right now. Jace Mullins, well, I think he's proving exactly why you really need to be good with setups in order to really make it yourself anywhere in these types of series. Canalove has also dropped action, though, to about 1/4 of a second in this fight as well.
Yeah, you definitely got a point there. I mean, we have these drivers out here. They're probably not giving us exactly what they're running in here because nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to have their setup out there that makes them look just fantastic. Now, I'm taking no driving skill away from any of the drivers in this field, but like I said, about 70% of this driver's ability is how well the car handles and manages. And it's up to them to make it handle like that. We're not talking, James Mullins didn't wake up this morning at 10 a.m. and say, you know, I got a race tonight at 8. I'm not going to do anything to my car until about 7:30. He's probably got a good 24 hours worth of lap time underneath his belt just to run this Atlanta race. So that's a lot of setup changes. What he's going to get you when you buy your setups from him is you're going to get a fairly decent, manageable racing setup that you can tweak to your liking with a couple here and there tweaks.
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, the setup is certainly at least a very, very good baseline to go off of, and you can always, you know, kind of tweak it more to your driving preference, and that's what a lot of these setup shops are for. They're more to give you a much better baseline than the ones that iRacing traditionally gives you, and then you can, I guess, fine-tune it depending on your knowledge, or just run that one as is. That's what really they're there for, is to just kind of help you along, but you have to make sure that you make the most of it.
Well, I tell you, that setup is just one thing, Nolan, one thing. What you have, your equipment you have, can be another thing. And as our series sponsor, ButtKicker, I'm getting a device tomorrow from ButtKicker, and I cannot absolutely wait, because the sensations that you get from those devices can make you a so much better driver. You'll feel the braking of the tires breaking loose. You'll feel absolutely everything with these devices. So if you're intensively involved in any kind of simulation, racing simulation, flying, any kind of simulators at all, you want to make sure you check out ButtKicker.com.
Absolutely true. That is exactly what you want to do. Make sure that you go there to get probably the best of what you can get when it comes to the sim racing equipment. Definitely, no doubt, going to be absolutely worth your money. Chad Sullivan taking a big slide in the background. I'm kind of just watching some of the battles further down in the field. I'm particularly looking at David Gervais in the number 5 machine. Chad Sullivan's just behind him. He just took a bit of a drifting class off of turn number 2. Definitely showing Eric Kling how it's done, it would appear. The 17 is side by side with them right now. Should note Sullivan is a couple laps down from Eric Kling as well in the midst of this, so he should be letting Kling through. Heads up, Gervais sliding in the midst of this group as well. That checks up Sullivan and Kling. Somehow we don't have caution number 4.
Looks like we have a new biggest mover of the race. Look at this 92 machine of Clayton Hoffman. Started 30th, and he has now moved himself up into 10th, and he is battling for 9th. He is right on the bumper of this Dan Shamoon. That is a tremendous drive for him. And behind him, we've got Joshua Schaffner. He started 21st. He's now in 11th.
Yeah, all these drivers still showing exactly, why they deserve to be running up at the front. They've been really moving throughout the day. Clayton Hoffman has, in fact, taken a couple drivers. Oh, Jonathan Delaney up in front in the number 13 machine. Just made some really significant contact with John Mullins and, just about with Wendell Elliott, but definitely with John Mullins. And a bit of an argument there. It appears that there's some argument as to who came up and who came down, but it almost resulted in once again caution number 4. A lot of drivers getting really, really squirrely right now.
It really kind of shocks me. We've got Boyd Hogan. He doesn't have too many laps left, and he's sitting back here in 8th. This was our race leader, that was out there just capitalizing for the first, 50, 60 laps. And now we're sitting here with about 40, average about 40 laps to go. And he's sitting back here in 7th place, 3 seconds behind the race leader, James Mullins.
Speaking of James Mullins, he was just side by side with Tanner Love. Tanner Love has climbed his way back up, and he was looking to make moves for the race lead. He was side by side with them for about a lap. James Mullins has managed to hang on to it. The gap is now a quarter of a second again. But James Mullins, he's starting to lose a bit of time here. The tire wear is definitely starting to kick in on a lot of these drivers. A lot of these guys are starting to get the back ends of the cars stepped out a little bit more, and that is really going to cause havoc here sooner rather than later. I would not be surprised if we saw another yellow flag. Oh, Jeremy Garrison has had a big spin in turn number 3. He is off the track, and he actually hit the outside wall in turn 2, slid all the way down the back straightaway, and then tagged it again in turn 3 in the inside wall. We might want to see if we can even maybe get a replay of it.
I don't know if what Boyd Hogan is running right now is kind of something that he's planning. It's an evil plan of his. Maybe he's thinking he's preserving his fuel, but I think everybody can make it to the end, as he is fighting like crazy to get behind John Mullins, or get around John Mullins, as he goes to the inside in that 64 machine of John Mullins. But John gets a little loose there, and he almost catches the wall, which is not going to end up well for Boyd Hogan. He finally gets around him.
That puts Hogan up into 6th now, and he sees Wendell Elliott, the driver, in 5th place, just up the road. Once more, Tanner Love has really pulled away. Has really dropped back from James Mullins, so the battle for the lead is all but gone. John Mullins might want to see if he can get a run at Boyd Hogan once again, but it doesn't look like he'll be able to get that, because it looks like Hogan is stepping up the pace.
I see a driver at 22, Travis Manning. It looks like he is monotonously trying to figure out what he needs to do to get up there for this race win, as he is slowly trying to pick his line to get around Colton Harvey. I wouldn't be surprised to see Travis Manning in that 22 machine battling for the lead before this race is over.
And there he goes, up into 3rd place once again. Remember, Travis Manning was battling for the lead early in this race, then he kind of dropped way back in the order. So he is now trying to see if he can maybe pick up the pace here a bit more and fight for the lead himself. He's got to run down Tanner Love still before he will reach James Mullins.
Yeah, it's like we've seen earlier in this race. You'll watch, I've seen drivers take a deficit of 5 seconds, preserve their tires, and eat up a 5-second deficit in a matter of 15 laps. So this is a 2-second deficit right now between Travis Manning, that 22 machine, and the leader, James Mullins. All he's got to do is get around Tanner Love, and there's a 2-second gap between him and Tanner Love at this present moment. Take that back, it's a 1.2 second gap now. So he is slowly closing in on second place Tanner Love in that 14 machine.
He would still have a second to go yet before he reaches James Mullins as well, because that's the gap right now between Love and Mullins. So there's still quite a ways to go for Travis Manning before he can fight for the lead, and I don't think he's going to be able to make that without a yellow flag, unless he's got some magical pace of that car that we are not quite seeing yet. Of course, you never know. You never know what's going on inside a car. It could end up being that he does have the pace, and maybe he's just trying to put it on gently here. Well,
he's come 2/10 closer. Every lap he's 2/10 closer. So now there's like a 1 and a 10 second behind Tanner Love. So he's slowly closing that gap in. He's running about the same lap times as the 6 machine of James Mullins, who's in the lead here. So if Travis Manning in that 22 machine has any hopes of winning this race, he might want to pick it up just a little bit.
Tanner Love goes underneath Randy Drumhiller to put him yet another lap down. Travis Manning is still trying to see if he can run him down. Boyd Hogan is having a scrap with Wendell Elliott. This is for 4th, and Hogan breezes through like he's standing still.
We got lap traffic up here, and we know what lap traffic can do. It can close a gap up extremely fast.
That it can. This might get interesting. We got about 27 laps to go yet, and still have quite a bit of time as well. So this is gonna be quite an interesting run, isn't it? I mean, we got still quite a bit of time left to go, but the time can really go away quickly if you're not paying attention to it.
Yeah, what would make this race extremely interesting is if we had a late race caution. Get to about lap 149, 152, and a caution come out. And then we're going to see fresh tires, and these guys are going to race like they've never raced before, and there's going to be cautions after cautions. So if this goes green all the way, it's going to be pretty much this. If we have a late race caution, we're going to see some excitement.
15th place is having a big fight. Brooks Durden was just passed and then blocked like a madman from Chris Johnson, who is already off and away. Jeffrey Souza is trying to pick himself up in the 29 machine into the top 15 as well. Now, to put some context on that pretty nasty block, which most might say, all right, that's a bit far, Brooks Durden did the exact same thing to Chris Johnson 1 lap prior, so you could call it favor repaid. Christopher Hill is all over the back end of Durden as well.
I'm watching the battle between 7th, 8th, and 9th with Dan Shamoon, Clayton Hoffman, and it looks like the 13 machine of Jonathan Delaney. Looks like Jonathan Delaney is right all over the back tailgate there of Dan Shamoon. And that's not going to end well for anybody in that 3-pack run. These guys are all just settling in. The gap between first and second it's extended to 1.5 seconds. Now it went back down to 1.4. I do believe that if we do not see caution here soon, James Mullins is just going to clearly, unless he makes a mistake, he's going to clearly walk away.
You never know. Anything can happen in a race like this. We've already seen some crazy stuff going on in this race as it is, so anything is very, very much possible. Jonathan Delaney in the number 13 machine is trying to close into Dan Shamoon in the 8th place car. He's closing in on that battle for 7th that you were talking about just up the road as well. They were pretty close. They've, of course, they kind of split off a little bit now. But it's been mighty interesting back here in this battle for the positions just outside the top 5. Colton Harvey is still trying to fend off Wendell Elliott. John Mullins just called. He is pitting in this time for the 7th position with just 21 laps to go.
That is going to be, you'll see a fuel-only pit stop right there. I don't believe he'll take any tires because it's not going to help him. I don't know why he would do it. John Mullins must be having a rough time keeping that car out on the track.
He's in the pits right now for the 64 car. Dan Shamoon has also said he wants to stop this time by as well. So could see one more round of pit stops before the night is through. John Mullins is into the pits. And he is taking tires. The car is up on the left-hand side as they put tires on to the right. Will they put them on the left as well? He does. 4 tires stop and fuel for John Mullins.
Well, he'll definitely be able to make it to the end and back to his trailer, that's for certain. Whether he's going to finish up in the top 10, that's debatable.
He's out onto the track now, so this could get spicy here as he's going to be on fresher tires and no doubt just blazing through the rest of the field here. And my goodness, this is not something I expected to see. Neither of us expected to see a late run of pit stops, at least not this late in the race.
No, but you know what that's going to do? That's possibly going to give our late race caution.
Oh, yeah. Depends on really who's going to come down because some of these guys are fighting pretty darn hard and they might be trying to come down as well. So this might get interesting. Dan Shamoon, by the way, did not come down a pit road. He said he was going to, then decided, you know what, I think I'm going to stay out here. He's running in 8th now. Yeah,
he might be just letting, like I said, you want to just kind of throw an anchor to the car in front of you and just let them pull you around the track and kind of save on fuel. That might be what you're seeing in front of them here.
This is certainly an interesting call from John Mullins. I did not expect this to happen whatsoever. Jonathan Delaney is all over the back end of Wendell Elliott, though. He's trying to see if he can getting himself into 6th position. Colton Harvey is still losing time, and look at this. Here comes Elliott blazing around the outside. Nothing Harvey can do about it.
Yeah, that 8 machine is not, I can't say he's used up all his tires, but he definitely is not handling as well as those cars that were following behind him, as everybody's just walking around him. And 23 machine and Dan Shamoon just comes around him like he's standing still. Let's see how Clayton Hoffman in the 92 does.
That poor guy was a sitting duck for all 3 drivers. Just nothing he could have done. You can only defend for so long when you're so far off the pace.
Yeah, he is dropping like a boat anchor. Something is not right with this car. He might be thinking to himself, I've got to save some fuel. That would be my thought on him dropping back like he's dropping back. He might be saying to himself, I've got to start saving some fuel. And I'm thinking that 92 Clayton Hoffman is in fuel preservation mode right now. Here comes, look at that, right through the field like they're standing still.
Yep, there is John Mullins. Like you said, he's blazed with the field as if even there, the 64 machine on the fresh rubber, which is now up to temperature. And my goodness me. By the way, he's lapping through these turns. Oh, this might get tighter. He's going to have to try to go left or right and then left around these 2 drivers here. But he's lapping around these corners 20 to 30 miles an hour faster than everybody else who was on the fresh or who's on the old rubber. But he is still a lap down. So he would have way too far to be able to realistically go in just 14 laps.
Yeah, can he make it back into maybe a 15 or 16 position? Absolutely. He rides through the field like he's riding through it right now. He's just got to make it past the leader and back around.
I kind of run the math here, and if he can keep this going where he's about 2 seconds faster than the rest of the field, it would take him about 15 laps to catch up to James Mullins. So the gap is about 40 seconds into this closing fast. Problem is, he's only got 13 to go. So at this point, he would be just 2 laps shy of going for a race win.
Yeah, but your equation is missing some things. Every time he turns a lap, full throttle, he's eating up about 1/10 to 2/10 a lap.
Well, rough equation. I wasn't good at math.
But we do know that James Mullins, with that 3.5 second gap between him and second place. Second and third place, there's a battle. Second, third, and fourth, there's a battle. First to second, there's not a battle.
Good grief, man. This is really just kind of turned everything around, hasn't it? For John Mullins, at least. I mean, this is, I don't think, quite what he was expecting. Definitely not what he was hoping to have happen to him. I think he was hoping that he might have more time and that it wouldn't go down a lap at all. At this point in time, John Mullins needs a late race caution here. The problem with that is if everybody else comes with fresh tires, he's going to be out there with some older rubber, and he's going to get swamped.
He's coming up. He's trying to get his lap back right now here. He's got to gain about 3 seconds, and he's going to use up his tires. So he may get his lap back. Is he going to be able to get around and maybe take 22nd, 21st? Maybe. Quite frankly, I bet he gets up to about lap 20. Or, I mean, he gets up into position 20. Is he going to go higher than that? I highly doubt it, because by that time, he's already eating up those tires.
Just 10 laps remaining now here at Atlanta in the 250-mile season opener. Goodness gracious, this has just been one exciting way to start the season. I don't think this could have been a better way to start off the point season than this. 163 laps for the Mountain Dew 250. Goodness me, this has been good.
Yeah, this absolutely looks like it's going to be a season to not want to miss. These drivers are out here. We're not going to see. Here we go. He's got John Mullins just took his lap back. But he is showing that he's got a little strain on him. Well, like I was saying, this season is going to prove to be one you don't want to miss week after week after week. I don't think we're going to see the same driver win week after week after week like we did, a couple seasons ago, or even last season. We have some pretty competitive drivers out here that if they get their setups just right, they're going to give all the top dogs that usually come in here and sweep the field, they're going to give them some competition. And that's what we want to see week after week after week.
That is exactly what I want to see. Just week in, week out, just hard and competitive racing. And right now, I agree. I don't think it's going to be the same guys winning week in, week out. I mean, we saw Boyd Hogan just about dominate the last season, and he actually wrapped up the whole championship before the season finale even, pulling a good old Lewis Hamilton there. So we might have somebody that could give him a run for his money. I mean, Hogan's still in 4th place. James Mullins, which is, of course, his main title rival at the moment, is up in 1st. Speaking of Hogan, he's in a big battle actually for the podium positions as Travis Manning, Boyd Hogan, and Tanner Love 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, all under a blanket. And Love has gone 2nd to 4th in one corner.
Yeah, we're going to see those guys. We'll see the top 5, maybe named off this year quite a bit. We can't take out of the equation. We've got we got a newcomer, 92 Clayton Hoffman. He's moved himself up into 8th. Kenny Powell in that 24 machine is sitting in 9th. Colton Harvey has dropped all the way back down into 8th. The biggest mover of the race right now is Clayton Hoffman. He's moved up 22 positions from 30th all the way up into a top 10 in 8th.
Coming to 5 to go.
And right now, the worst thing that James Mullins could see is that flag. Anything that's not checkered is not what he wants to see. He doesn't want to. He would love to see the white flag, but if he sees that yellow, he knows it's going to be a race that he's going to have to either beat the pants off of that steering wheel or get beat.
Just under 8 miles left in a 250-mile race. It has been a long one, but my goodness, has it been a thrilling one.
Looks like Dan Shamoon goes to the inside, and he takes 6th place away from Jonathan Delaney, and Jonathan is not going to give up easily as he's going to try to battle back every position forward as more points towards that end of the season championship.
Got to make those spots where you can. You just cannot risk the chance that you might lose out on a championship just by a few points. Every spot matters in every single race. You have to go for it, even if somebody tells you it's not going to matter in the long run.
Absolutely. Every lap you turn here, every position you gain at every race counts.
And the most crucial races are, in fact, the opening few, because those will really set the mood for how it's going to go the rest of the season. If you end up finishing in the bottom 20, it is so much harder to work your way up through the entirety of the season. You definitely want to make sure that you hit the ground running. And right now, with just 2.5 laps to go, James Mullins in that 6th car, he's looking set to do just that.
With almost 4-second gap between 2nd place Travis Manning in that 22 machine. Boyd Hogan is only 4/10 behind him in that 96 machine, so he's in 3rd position right now. So he's got a comfortable podium position, but Boyd Hogan doesn't want to finish 3rd. He wants to finish 2nd. The odds of him finishing 1st, it's going to take a caution to do that.
And he has to have a caution come out within the next 15 or so seconds, or it is going to be secured for him that he is not going to be able to finish anywhere higher, realistically, than the 20th position or the 19th position. As James Mullins is coming around this time by, will it come out within the next 3 seconds? It will not. White flag is in the air. James Mullins took the lead earlier from Tanner Love. He is now just getting set to round the final few corners here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Tallying one more onto the boards for James Mullins as he is now off of the final corners. Just in front of his Jeff Shutt and Wayne Grossi. And he is going across the line and win here at Atlanta at the season opener.
James the Money Mullins wins first.
We have cars out of fuel. Jaden Profit and Kenny Powell both running an empty, and Profit slowing on the back straightaway, as a matter of fact. He's out of fuel. And so is Powell, who's on the front straightaway. He is losing spots.
Oh,
and there's nothing he can do about it.
He's dropping. He was in 9th, and he drops all the way down to 17th. He lost 8 positions by that fuel loss. How crazy was that?
Also out of fuel is Jaden Profit.
Tanner Love in the 14 machines finished 20th. What a table has turned. All right, to wrap up our race tonight, we have James the Money Mullins in the 6 machine as 1 tonight. In 2nd place is a 22 of Travis Manning. 3rd is the 96 of Boyd Hogan, all the wins Hogan. And looks like fourth is Dan Shamoon in that 23 machine. Fifth is Wendell Elliott in that 38 machine. Sixth is Jonathan Delaney in the 13 machine. Seventh is a 92 of Clayton Hoffman. Eighth is a 50 of Joshua Schaffner. Ninth is the 11 of Christopher Hill. Rounding out the top 10 would be the 5 of David Gervais.
What an absolute banger of a way to open up the season. That was just absolutely phenomenal from everybody. My goodness, I mean, James Mullins, that is definitely the way that he wanted to start off the season.
Yeah, he won that race by almost a 5-second gap between him and second place. That was phenomenal. We've had some exciting racing, with some exciting wrecking. It's been phenomenal tonight. Let's see if we can get a hold of some of our race leaders as they climb out of their hot rods here. Boyd Hogan, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, man.
Boyd, hogging all the wins. Hogan, what do you think of that race tonight? I thought you had that thing wrapped up. What happened in the late race?
I mean, mainly just dirty air and traffic. It's the car was unreal. I used up probably a little bit more than what I should have, and I mean, lap traffic didn't help any in the first run, because I mean, dirty air just kills you. You know, you go from being hooked up to knocking the wall down. So I mean, that was kind of how it started, and the plan was just kind of ride and save enough tire, and I mean, the car was still driving good, and as soon as I got to Travis, it was just back to plowing again. So overall, just needed to free it up a little bit more. But I think if everything would have been even and stayed like it was, I think we would have had at least first or second locked up. It was a good race with James early on, and then everything kind of got jumbled up there around halfway, and we just never really recovered the way that we should have.
Well, it was a phenomenal finish. We've seen some late race. It looks like you were pitting more than once, more outside your cycle there. Was it a fuel strategy mood, or?
I mean, it was partially fuel. It was partially when they wrecked off a 4, I sent it down through the grass, and I just wanted to make sure that the car was clean. And then I guess I didn't uncheck my tires, so it took my last set with about 60 to go. And that's when we were just hoping for the best and hoping to make it to the end.
There it is. There it is. All right, Boyd, do we have any sponsors we want to thank tonight, buddy? Go ahead and give a shout out.
Yeah, I mean, obviously everybody at Reaper Speed Lab, Trayton Lapsovich, Randall Falks, Chris Hill, Austin Derbyshire, everybody that puts that deal together. Cosman at Splash and Go, he did a phenomenal job on the paint, and this has been kind of, you know, I can't see me taking this one off for quite some time, so got to thank him. Everybody on Legacy, Bobby Earnhardt, everybody on FSR as well. Jared Crawford kind of helped out a little bit last night, and yeah, that's about it. I want to shout out my grandpa. I know they're watching, and sorry we couldn't bring it home today, but you know, we'll hopefully be better at Iowa.
Well, absolutely, a third place is nothing to sneeze at, and we probably will not see you next week, because next week I think Santa Claus is coming to town. So, Boyd, congratulations on your third place finish, and we will see you after Christmas.
Sounds good to me, man. Thanks, Al.
Travis Manning, you got a copy?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Mr. Travis, we've seen some phenomenal racing from you tonight. Welcome aboard to the iRacing Stock Car Association.
Yeah, glad to be here. You know, started the whole deal off last week in the preseason race pretty good, winning Vegas. You know, weren't able to capitalize like that tonight. Mullins definitely had a car to beat. I don't believe I had a second place car, but like Boyd said, just the way everything panned out tonight, you know, it panned out in my favor. Played the fuel game. I think I was saving pretty much that entire last run. So it was, I think I had 0.2 of fuel left. So it's, you know, but it's definitely a good way to come out swinging. You know, couldn't really ask for anything better.
You definitely want to keep up that momentum with second place. There's absolutely nothing to sneeze at. We have any family members watching tonight, Travis?
No family members watching. I didn't push the link out there too hard. Just kind of doing my thing. I know my teammates. They were in this race with me. I know they're watching. So big shout out to them. Car's been competitive all week, and they haven't stopped working on it. We've been working on it every day, and more of them than me. But you know, it's a big shout out to them. Makes driving this thing a lot easier.
Buddy, just if it's any consolation to you, Boyd Hogan's grandma and grandpa were watching you tonight. Good job on that second place. You got sponsors you want to give a shout out to?
Well, big shout out to Boyd's grandparents. That's pretty cool to sit back and watch him do this iRace and stuff. That's pretty cool. But yeah, Raise Energy, I got them on the hood tonight. I got DSP on the side of the car. Big shout out to all them guys over there and everything that everyone's done for me to help me get here. It's been a good start to the year. I hope to keep it up.
Well, congratulations on that second place finish, Travis. We can't wait to see you after Christmas. You have a wonderful Christmas.
Appreciate it, buddy. Thank you guys too. Thank you guys for everything.
Let's talk to our race winner right now. I know Boyd's grandma and grandpa don't want me to talk to him, but James Mullins, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you loud there, Alan.
James Money Mullins pulled off a race win. Tell us how that happened. I was watching you during the beginning of this race, and I was telling Nolan, watch what he's doing. He's kind of preserving his tires, and he's just letting Boyd pull him along. Was that the strategy tonight?
I mean, I typically in every race I ever go in, I just drive I just sit back and relax and chill and drive my race and let the car come to me. And Boyd looked really good up front. I knew clean air was a big deal, and I knew he'd probably pull me by a second, maybe two. I was kind of surprised he didn't pull me more than he was. And we're really good in dirty air, we're really good out front, and we put a lot of time in on setup. The boys at the Pay to Win shop, everybody over Nexus, helped out. I mean, we put a lot of laps in on the car, and it paid off. We've won a lot of races this week, from me to everybody on the team. So we're just really good this week.
Well, we did plug both Boyd and your setup shops here during the race tonight. So I forgot to ask Boyd. He kind of peeked on that Reaper speedlabs.com for his setups. What's the name of your website for your setups again, bud?
It's pay-to-win-setups.com. Boyd's got a good thing going over there. There are a lot of good guys over Reaper, so I have nothing but respect for them boys over there. They're really good dudes.
Thanks, James.
You don't want to say anything bad. His grandma and grandpa are watching, so you definitely don't want to down him. It's bad enough you already beat him. So, yeah, definitely. I've been telling everybody if they need some setups to go to your Boyd's website there and get some setups. And I personally purchased from both of you guys. And if I ever had any problems with those setups, I know it was easy to get a hold of you and make some changes. So, great setups for both of you guys, and it was a tremendous victory for you tonight. And a second for Travis Manning and a third for Boyd Hogan. You have any sponsors you want to thank tonight, James?
Just the Pay to Win guys, pay-to-win-setups.com. They're a good group of guys, and we put together the best setups that we can for everybody, and they're real competitive. So, and Nexus, I want to thank Nexus, Team Nexus, Splash and Go Graphics, Cosmo painted an amazing car like always. And Andrew Skelnick, just to mention a few, Don Avery. I know I'm missing a few, but I mean, we put a lot of laps in. If we weren't going to be good, we ought to quit, just to be honest with you.
You did a tremendous job. I think you forgot to thank Boyd Hogan's grandma and grandpa there, but I'll do it for you. Thanks, Boyd's grandma and grandpa, for watching tonight. And then my name's Al Kozlowski, and my co-pilot tonight was Nolan Rempel. And until after Christmas, we'll see you then.